And when you have bad data, it creates an absolute cluster because no one knows who they're reaching out to. Different things are triggering and syncing to different tech. So I think that's for the larger companies is they're spending these hundreds of thousands of dollars on tech. They're using it to maybe 5% of the capacity because they don't have the team internally or the knowledge or where these things are rolling out new features all the time. They're syncing. So it creates more of a problem than a solution.
What's going on, Jason? Welcome to the Forever Podcast. I'm so glad to have you on, man. What's going on?
Nothing much, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Where in the world are you?
So I'm right outside of Philadelphia. I'm in the Lehigh Valley right now. I'm originally from inner city of Philly, but about an hour outside right now.
Nice. Yeah, I got to tell you, man, dude, the retreat we did in New York was crazy.
I know. I'm pissed I wasn't there. I was real close to being able to get there, and then I had some up. But I'm sure. I mean, I heard you guys had a ton of people come out.
Oh man, it was honestly beyond my expectations. Even running the event, had a ton of people out there. We had about 25 entrepreneurs out there, but we featured everybody on a billboard and podcasting in Times Square. The dinners were amazing. The workshops, the people that had come by was super dope. So it just was like an awesome experience. But next time, I just had to mention that to you. Why I got you. I'm man. Like, dude, it was.
No, we gotta come to Philly then. So when are you going to come to Philly for the next East Coast one?
Man, that's true. We're thinking about people really wanted Nashville for some reason. Nashville for the next one, but.
Nashville makes sense. I mean, that's a fun time. So
yeah,
December. So on it. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I'll keep you posted. Well, cool. We're gonna dive into everything as people are joining in, and everybody listening and watching. We're gonna be diving into the customer journey, also how to maximize your revenue. What does the back end of your business look like? What's the structure? Jason is a mastermind of all those things, and we're going to be really diving into it to really understand how we can elevate and take our business to the next level and really grow our revenue. And a lot of times it comes by being organized, making sure that you have a team to help you get there. So first of all, Jason, can you let everybody know who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So I guess even when you ask me this question, is why something that I struggle with is putting myself out there in the correct terms. Like I think I just was listening to one of your podcasts that you did by yourself, and you were talking about all the different things that you did, and I think like you struggle to put yourself in a box, right?
Yeah.
So anytime I ever do these, someone says, give me a rundown. It's like it's difficult, but I think just a serial entrepreneur, I think a creator of things. Anything really. But just to give you a background of what my focus is, what my companies are, RevCardo is my main company. So we're a revenue operations and enablement firm, which is essentially just think of like the traditional marketing agency in terms of a service base of what they offer, but we infused it with the operations and enablement as well, which just pretty much means that we have accountability and control over a company's entire revenue cycle, so it can allow us to actually have a full impact on driving growth for that company. So setting up their systems and their processes, training their teams, all of their CRMs, things like that, aligning really just the whole revenue engine. And along with that, I have at the moment a Concept AI, which is a kind of a branch under RevCardo, which is just a AI and tech development company, which we have a nonprofit under that. So it's kind of a branch here called Spiritual Data, which is essentially we're looking to answer the big questions of the world. I guess if you can put it in the simplest ways of figuring out why we're here, what the hell this is, really all these things, right? To kind of create a happier, healthier, more unified world, and use AI and our proprietary algorithm to show truth. So it's a lot of different things, but all aligning around that tech and creative aspect.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like you got a lot going on. a lot happening. That's pretty dope, man. So first we're gonna dive into Rev Cardo and just like a little bit about as an entrepreneur, what is the most common mistake that you're seeing when you start to work with a company and you start to look at their sales, their marketing, looking at that engine, looking behind the curtain? What is the most common thing that you're seeing as kind of a misstep or a mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs are making?
So I guess I'll flip this question on you. So for your audience, because I think it varies based on the size.
Yeah.
Who is the primary target of your audience? Is it like a smaller company? Is it a solopreneur? Like, what is it? What's kind of the breakdown?
Yeah, it kind of ranges, right? So we do have a lot of people that, let's say they got a team of 5 maybe that they have, but they're still doing numbers, right? I mean, we work with a lot of there's a lot of people that listen as 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs, but also
Yeah,
we have a lot of CEOs that are running companies that may have,
larger.
20, 30, 40 employees, right?
Okay.
And they're scaling up, they're growing their teams, and they're looking at it more from a leadership perspective.
Mhm.
And then we also do have some CEOs that are part of large organizations that are really looking for kind of more tactics of how to tap in. So I would say
Yeah,
let's go with somebody that's more on the lower end of from a team
smaller.
perspective, and then also let's also hear it from somebody that's got 100, 200, 300 employees. Let's hear about what's going on there.
Cool. Yeah. So I'll generalize it, and I was just asking, just I was just curious, but I think at the end of the day, the way that you make it fit everyone is you got to simplify everything, right? There's how much goes through your mind as an entrepreneur, as a founder, or a leadership role on a daily basis. Like if you let it, it'll spiral. It can happen quick. And then at that point, you're looking at something, and it's like I don't even know what I'm seeing right now, and it's frustrating, right? So the way that
Yeah.
we do it is we go, all right, let's take a step back. At the end of the day, there's all these fancy terms like in marketing and all this stuff, right? At the end of the day, it's who's your client, where are they, how do you where are they online or whatever avenue it is? How do you add value and get in front of them, and then how do you make sure that you close the deal and retain them, right? So I think by simplifying those things, it makes it so simple. And then if you're starting at let's say, I always relate it to a football team, right? So I'm an Eagles fan, so I thank God I can say that I can even mention the Eagles on this week because right now. But I know
Yeah.
it was Philly where we'll be down soon, so it's all right. But like a football team, offense, defense, special teams, right? Every company has 3 components. You have to create demand, convert demand, and then retain clients and optimize customer lifetime value. So when you simplify it into those 3 buckets, it's really easy to kind of sector and go, okay, well, what am I doing to create? What channels am I using, right? Okay, now once a lead comes in, what's the process, right? Like, am I selling it? Am I not packaging it the right way? Is my systems incorrect? And for the most part, if it's a smaller to mid-sized company, it's usually when in that kind of sale or marketing to sales handoff, it's like the go-to-market aspect, the packaging, not understanding how to pitch, not understanding their ICP.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, like that's a creative thing. I talked to a lot of creators. It's like you can be the best at whatever you have, but if you don't package it in a way that the market wants it, it is you're not going to sell it, right?
Yeah.
So I think the product market fit for the smaller companies. For the larger companies, is the database. And just as an ops person, it's like I don't understand. I mean, I've worked with companies that are from 1 person all the way up to, I mean, we have a client that's 100 million a year,
Yeah.
and it is just universal across the board. Like their
Yes.
systems are, so anyone that's out there that thinks like, hey, I don't know what the hell I'm doing or my systems is, no, there's companies that are massive that don't, all of them, right? Their
Yeah.
systems are there. And when you have bad data, it creates an absolute cluster because no one knows who they're reaching out to. Different things are triggering and syncing to different tech. So I think that's the for the larger companies is they're spending these hundreds of thousands of dollars on tech. They're using it to maybe 5% of the capacity because they don't have the team internally or the knowledge or these things are rolling out new features all the time. They're syncing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it creates a more of a problem than a solution. So I think that was
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What let's dive into that packaging question, because I think a lot of us we're really, maybe, really good at what we do, and we're experts in our craft, or we're highly creative, like you
Mhm.
said. But when it comes down to crafting the offer, packaging it up a certain way, for people to be able to receive it, understand it, and know really what the outcomes are going to be, a lot of times, a lot of us, we kind of have a misstep when it comes to that, and it could
Yeah.
be the turning key that you need to really grow your business, especially if you are getting some traction, but you're also getting a lot of leads to not convert. It
Mhm.
could be that could be the missing piece for a lot of us. So, is there a structure that we should follow as far as when it comes to crafting our offer or packaging that works for you and your clients?
Yeah, yeah. So every client that we bring on, we go through this process, but there's clients that we bring on that are specifically just for this strategy portion. We call it the Rev Up program.
Hmm.
Essentially, we take a deep dive like into each aspect of your business, and reverse engineer that to essentially create and craft those from start to finish. From we like to say awareness to advocate. Um,
Okay.
so I would say that the main thing, like for someone that's in that specific seat that you're mentioning, is paralysis by analysis. Like I think people tend to like want to sit and craft the perfect thing, and it's like I'm gonna do this, and they spend a month on here's all my branding and my message. That's great. You got to put that time in, but at the end of the day, if you just pick up the phone and call two people that you think could be your client and just ask them some questions, you get that done in a day. So I think
I love it. It just taking action, right?
and I say that because that's where I'm speaking for myself. That's how I was. I'm a perfectionist or whatever. I think we all are to an
Yeah.
extent for an
Yep.
entrepreneur. But once you just put it out there and you throw it out to the market, you normally your gut, you can trust your gut, but your gut is not as valid as the data. And that's one thing that I always like. I always just preach to our clients is, in those different things, if you have the data, like let's say you have a client list or whatever it may be, why there's no reason to kind of just use your gut to just throw random things out there for your ideal customer, right? It's if you have this is something that I guess a tactic that we do with each one of our clients that could be helpful is, let's say you have 100 customers. We're going to go
Yeah.
in when we start to work with you. We're going to take your 100 customers. We're going to go, what is the 80-20 rule? The 20 that is giving you the most customer lifetime value, the least amount of headaches. And then we're going to reverse engineer that, right? And we're going to go, okay, well, not only who are they as a demographic, as a company, but what route did they take, right? That they talk to a specific person or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
Because that's your initial starting North Star for where you go to the market on that end. So that's, those type of things. And if they don't have the data, we use market data. But, and I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I don't know if I even answered your original question, but I think like,
Yeah. I mean, think crafting the offer. Um, we got to look at, distilling that down. Also,
yeah,
sometimes the best thing is don't get in your own head. Pick up the phone, ask the right questions, right, to figure out what are people wanting. So, oftentimes we try to craft stuff that looks great, it's beautiful, we think it's amazing, it's the best thing
yeah,
ever, but we're oftentimes not actually solving a problem. We're trying to hit them with all the features, the benefits, and all the other things about it. But we're oftentimes not looking at what are the outcomes and what problem is the service actually solving for somebody. And you got
yeah.
to speak into that. So I think you really just carved out what we can do as far as to look at this. Um, and I think from the customer journey part of it, um, it's very interesting because I do a sales and brand workshop with
Mhm.
companies as well. And there's a piece of it, which is majority of the workshop, which is customer journey. And it's shocking because like even, 100 million, 200, $300 million companies not understanding their customer journey, or the last time they even looked at it. You should always
Yeah.
like look at this every once in a while, especially as you're growing. It's
Yeah.
definitely different. But what's the one area in the customer journey, in your opinion, that people are missing out on? Like what's the most, like, between like
Um,
all the different phases, what is the area that people are missing out?
So I would say that it's not a phase, and actually, I think that this is probably the most important thing, and it's one of our pillars of what we focus on. Is most people are focusing on, if they are at all, the external buyer's journey. So how's the buyer going, right? But rarely people are aligning their external buyer's journey with the internal buyer journey, and I think that's
Okay,
the
yeah, talk about that a little bit. What does that
so
mean?
if I'm buying your service, right? Like as I'm sitting here right now, I have a little plugin that I just saw someone I'm prospecting just click the deck because it gives me notification, right?
Yeah.
Like where I am in the journey, where does that equate to internally for the team, right? There's a point where it crosses over to sales, for example, whether that's a certain form that's filled out or whether that's a certain threshold of points or actions, whatever it is, right? Now they're in the sales pipeline. What are they doing, right? They're downloading this or they're going to this. Like, for example, I have, and I'm just doing this because it's popping up right now. If someone's in my CRM and they go to my pricing page, it'll launch a task immediately and say, someone visit the pricing page. So I can call them and go, hey, by the way, oh, that's so weird. You're on our pricing page. I had no idea. That's weird. By the way, is it a Visa? So then we kind of just dive into, like, it's just really aligning and understanding what they're doing in real time and what are those trigger events that would, equate to
Really?
you.
So you're calling them as it's happening?
Sometimes, I mean, it depends where we're at. Sometimes like if it's someone that it's a feel thing, I guess, at the end of the day. But I don't. Hey, I mean, I'm all for just calling. I'm very. I think that's the biggest thing with any of it is like being. I think I'm a good salesperson because I'm an awful salesperson, and what I mean by that is like I'm not motivated. I want to make a lot of money, and I think I'm going to make a lot of money, but I'm not motivated by money. I'm not. I grew up with nothing. Like I just genuinely like helping people, which I feel like comes, which is like not common, I guess. I don't know. So I come across, I guess, as that way, and everyone always kind of relays that it's a great salesperson. But I couldn't even pick up the phone when I started this business. Like I was sweating. There's no chance I could do this. Now I've had the chance to talk in front of all these people, pitch, investor, everything, right? So yeah, I think, again, a lot of different sectors in what you're asking. I'm just, I think that all of those things are helpful to people that are at different stages that are just here.
Yeah, knowing about what's going on. I just found it super interesting, like to pick up because somebody be like, "Oh, that's kind of weird. Are you looking through the windows? What's going on, man?"
Just play it off.
Yeah, I have done the I haven't called, which now I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I should try that. But one thing, like when we see the activity, right, on when somebody's looking at certain things, what we can do is we can send a message or an email to them and just say, hey, if you have any concerns or anything on the pricing, or if they're looking back at what the options are, they're looking at back at what the outcomes are going to be, you can actually kind of answer those questions and then be like, oh man, how did they know that? But be like, actually, I do have a question on X, Y, and Z. You're jumping it and being like, hey, let's just, I mean, it's definitely a feeling thing, but hey, let's hop on a call and like, let's just, because oftentimes objections are not
smoke screens.
Yeah. It's not, it's
value
a
or
lot
money.
of times they can be solved.
Yeah, value or money is what it comes down to. And it's just,
they have it or not.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like I'm just undressing that because like as a salesperson, like a no is good as a yes, but like just if that's what it is, you got to get to it because people will waste your time. But
100%.
I think like just to that point real quick is like the thing that we do I think really well with our clients and just internally is we call them trigger events, and it's something that we do when we're identifying at every stage of the buyer's journey, which is really just understanding who your client is and not even like the actions that they're taking, but what are the things that occur that could potentially mark them as a client. Like for us, for example, we work with a lot of recently funded startups. So if a company was recently funded, we would get a notification to know that, right? Because then immediately I can call them because one, they got the money and they don't have the team. They need us because we provide a whole team.
So timing, right? So real quick, that's timing, guys. So it's about understanding back to the customer journey, understanding the right time of when to offer your services, which is awesome. So like, do you got a trigger like on what is it called, Crunchbase or one of those sites that's like, hey, recently funded, and then you get like a notification that it's like, is that how it works?
Yeah, we get a few. We get so we use Hub, like we're partners with HubSpot as our CRM, so
Yeah.
we use that primarily. But like things like Zoom Info, Crunchbase,
Okay.
and even HubSpot itself, like just identifying if a company is created, and we'll see what tech they use, right? So if they use HubSpot, we know immediately we can give
Yeah.
them a
Tech
call.
stack. Yep.
Sales Navigator, for depending upon where your clients are, is really good. Like for us, we'll break it down to like companies based on the revenue that they make, and then we'll go, okay, that their sales team is increasing, uh, hiring, but their marketing team is less than 2 people, or operations is less than 2 people.
Oh man.
So
So you
like,
go lasered in.
yeah, it just, but once you just test those things and you start to just get, that's the thing, is like when you're going through these and you're having these conversations, everything is data. And like a lot of people, it's hard to just, because you're just going so fast. Like try to use things as data of who am I talking to? What was the situation? Like what made sense? Even if it's like the biggest thing you can do for anything, even if you don't close a deal, is like, how do you get as much? Like I still to this day say like, that's fine. I for advice, I want to know what could I have done anything better? Right. And can
Yeah.
I add any value to you in any way? And if you end engagements like that, or how can I be of service to you, you're going to get that deal eventually at some point. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It's about
So yeah,
asking the right questions, it sounds like, as well. Like always asking the right questions. And also, even on this podcast, you sound very genuine and
thank
just kind of like not salesy in a way. It's almost like you said, like you're maybe to your own benefit or detriment, or depending on how people look at it, but you're very like just open, honest, like, okay, hey, so we can't do, maybe timing's not right, maybe it's you can't do it right now, but how
you.
else can I be of service then to you? We've been kicking it on the phone for 30 or minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
um how else can I be of service to you? I think that's actually a very powerful question. So maybe it's not something right now, but maybe it's an introduction. Maybe it's, hey, actually what I want to do is, I want to pick your brain a little bit. How much for a one-time, consultation call? Or, like it might be something else than that. We're always trying to sell like the best thing that we got,
Instant
because we
gratification.
yeah, the instant gratification of it, of, hey, they need this. And sometimes people just aren't there quite, at the time sometimes. So it's either the value or the money.
Yeah.
And that's such a powerful question to ask, is like, okay, well, how can I be of service to you? We've been hanging out on this call. Obviously, you're on this call for a reason. You're not just,
Yeah.
kicking it with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I know
like,
you like me, but
how
I
else
mean,
can
like
I help?
you're spending your time here. Yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's definitely one of the most powerful things you could ask. And I think like when I started just like, even when I was in corporate America, I just had a board like up, and I had like between 3 and 5, I had just checkbox for every single week. So my goal was to just reach out to someone, and I had to get on a call with 3 to 5 people. And I did that for like 5 years, like per week. So then
Okay. Each week. Okay. So reach out to 3 to 5 people. And then what else was the other check marks?
it was just like I had 5 check marks for a week, and then I would just check off the number of people that I actually like got on a call with.
Oh, got you. Okay.
And I didn't have any like agenda with that. I just wanted to connect with people, learn, and the real thing was I wanted to be able to use that as like, I'm talking to you, and that's where a lot of, to be transparent, I think like I enjoy that, because I can talk to almost anyone and go, what is your need? What's your pain point? Okay, if I can't do it, I know maybe someone who I can connect you with, or I can add value to, because I think that's the biggest thing. I've gotten people deals probably bigger than deals I've gotten myself, because of just mentioning names in rooms that
Yeah.
they're not in, because that's what it's about, man. We're all just people figuring it out. Like people got to help each other, and once you like drop that mask of trying to be something you're not, like this is the hardest thing in the world to do. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. People try to put that whole facade on. Like, no, man, you're going to hell. Like you're walking through, and like you got to be willing to fight, like to walk through hell. I mean, I'm sure you've been there. Like,
Yeah.
and you continue to be there. But like we just got to help each other out, everyone. I think that's the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Always be a helping hand for people, no matter what, because they're going to be thinking about you later on, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Even if you didn't get the deal yourself, you're still helping them along their journey, and they're like, hey, you know what? Jason actually helped me out. So actually, I'm going to reach back out, and maybe the timing's right. So I want to ask you. So you grew So talk to me about the startup that you helped grow. And I think you did it for like over 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about that startup, and then how are you able to get to that level of success?
Yeah, so I took I guess I was like a sales support intern at a job. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was like, in college, I just knew college wasn't it for me. I just always felt like who I am now, like confidence wise, and after doing all of these things, like once I just listened to your podcast before this, and you were talking about how you were like, I feel like it's not in a cocky way, Eric. I feel like I can do anything because I've done this, 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 and as you
Yeah.
start to check those things off, like you realize like, hey, I can really do almost anything, and anyone can. But like when I was in that role, I grew up, and I guess I'll just kind of like give a whole thing because I feel like a lot of people are in this, like feel this way about themselves. I grew
Yeah.
up in inner city of Philly. So we single mom, we're on welfare. My brothers were in a lot of trouble growing up. I mean, I had everything. I moved to Bucks County when I was in high school. My mom moved me there because our house like was shot up and there was a bunch of stuff going on, right? And she didn't want me down there. So like
Yeah.
from there, I got put immediately into an environment where I played sports. I'm looking at kids that have their dads that are out there like shooting best, like, 100 shots on the free throw line. And I'm showing up right before the game. And I'm like, all right, let's just play. Like those little things. And that mindset stuck with me because I was so far behind academically. I was so far behind just like understanding. I couldn't like really just articulate or communicate with the way that the other kids could. And that kind of just followed me like as like who I was. I almost like adapted that as my persona. And up until that point, and as I took that role in the internship and then the actual full-time job, I got really lucky in that spot because we were a startup, like you were saying, maybe a few million in revenue, maybe 25 people. And I was there for 6 years, like you said. And when I left, we were about, I believe it was like 60 million annual revenue and about 300 employees. So I got pushed out the window, built a plane on the way down. And I had incredible bosses and mentors in that company that like, I think a lot of who I am came from that, the way that they led. And it was a similar concept of, I don't care. And I say this to every one of my employees too, like, I don't care. I hope that you want, like your end goal is with us. But if it's not, I want to know what your dream is. And I want to help you use this as a vehicle so we can get you there. So, I just trying to bring the whole mindset of what brought me to that point. So throughout that 6 years, I built a sales operations, sales enablement department, and really was hand in hand with sales, growing the team. So we grew to like 125 reps. And it was just a weird dynamic, man. I started that I was 22 and I was like, there was people that were coming to me like, and I'm doing one-on-ones and they're 40 and like they get 3 and I'm like, they're like, what the hell do you, and you have to like really earn. It was a really good experience for me because I had to show these people that like I had to be a servant leader because it's like, what the hell does this get? Like, get the hell out of my face. Like I'm a sales forever. That's like, all right. So it was, like I said, best experience I could have got. And so I was there for 6 years and then I fast forward, was at a few different tech startups and then kind of to the Revcardo story of the pandemic. I met my co-founder online. We were just trying to meet up for a while. And Damon John was having an event in Philly, a place called Rec Philly. I brought just tickets and I was like, let's just meet up there, meet each other, see what's up. We both had jobs. And I pitched him, an idea that was on a Google Doc that was just a bunch of random things, right? I think it was called, and I was like, yeah, man, like let's, probably scatterbrain going a million miles an hour, but he liked it. We were going to do it on the side. And then I guess long story short, that event happened. The next day, the pandemic was announced. 3 days later, my company saw the framework of the website he was making and they fired me. So we knew each other for maybe 14 hours. And it was like, we have to try to build a company that doesn't even have just a bunch of my thoughts on a Google Doc and no name. And we're about to go into the weirdest time to be a human in the pandemic. And
oh my God, what a story, man. Because I've had a business partner before and it did not pan out. So I can only imagine 14 hours or whatever, like not really having enough time to really see who the person is. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of scary. I'm just being honest. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, no, it was. I look back now, man, and I'm like, I'm thankful that I am where I am right now because I'm like, the journey that we got to. There was times where it was my bank account was negative thousands, my car was repoed. I
Yeah.
mean, I've been those nights of looking at the ceiling like, what the fuck am I
Yeah.
doing? What am I
Yeah.
doing? And it's like, everyone goes through that, and it's like the person you become on this is way more important, or just it's really what matters because I'm not even recognizable to that person that was fired from that job.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow, man. That's a crazy story, and now you're able to do all these things, serial entrepreneur, which is amazing. One question I got for you as well, because I know a lot of us on the podcast we're listening, we're watching because we also want to grow our audience, and you've been able to grow to around 15,000 followers at this time of recording on LinkedIn. How are you able to get that growth? What worked for you? What doesn't work? Like, and why is that so important for you to grow your audience on LinkedIn?
So I don't know if this is the answer you're looking for, but I'll be honest. I like this, even doing this, like I'm forcing myself and I'm having my partners force me. I hate, if it was up to me, man, I wouldn't have anyone know me. I'd be a janitor, dude. I don't care what you, I don't need to, I want to live in a little cabin in the woods. I don't care. Like, I don't care about any of that, man. Like it took me a very long time to, like one of my good friends called me and was like, you're being selfish by not giving what you have to the world. And like, it's still hard for me. Like, I mean, I'm sitting here doing that, like with my ring, I'm like fidget because I don't like ever coming across as like, that I'm talking like I'm better. And so, because that's not like, or like, even just like the concept of like when I'm speaking at events and you're on a stage and you're looking like, no, like I'm just a kid that grew up in Philly and just had to figure it out. Like, and I'm not, we're all the same. Like, it's not, so I think maybe it's something that I've overcame a lot, like of just a CEO that I used to work with told me, like, if you want everyone to like you, go sell ice cream. And I was like, and which is a good point. But I mean, and I don't know if it's that. Like, I don't think I care about that aspect. I think it's just more of like, I don't want anyone to ever have a conversation and feel like they're not enough, or like, what, you know what I mean? Because we're all capable of that. So I'm kind of trying to push myself to get out there, I guess, to that point. So like my personal brand, I think the reason I've grown it like across Instagram and LinkedIn is just because of that. I think like the messages that I give out is I'm very different than most. I don't just post every other day, or I'm only posting when I have something like that it came to me that's like, I need to put this out to the world. And it's probably, like, I could probably grow it a lot more. I'm trying to get myself to get to those points of doing these things, to get it out there. I'm actually actively beginning a documentary to have someone follow me around, just because if I'm
that's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, though, a tactic that you can use for this is for LinkedIn. I don't know if your followers are there, but
a lot of people use LinkedIn. We got a lot of people on here.
So there's a plugin that I use that it probably gets me about 70% of our deals, and it's like $9 a month. It's called Octopus CRM.
Okay.
It's literally, you use that with Sales Nav, and you just search the demographic that you want. You don't even need Sales Navigator. You can do it in the regular LinkedIn search, and you click the link, or like in your browser, it'll send as many people as in that list as you want over to the CRM, and then it's just whatever you want. You can do connect, message, endorse, visit, whatever it is. So I'll do like honed in, niche down, like not automated. Like I get so many messages in there like that.
Yeah, we all do.
No. Well, that's how I think I got you, or how we started talking, because I'll do a certain niche that's like maybe 50 people that has a specific thing that I can tailor the message to, that I want to reach into, and then I'll send it out and send the message, and I'll do about maybe 100 of them a day, like when I was starting off. And then essentially you're only going to see them when they come back into your, like when they answer your message. If they don't, you're not going to see it. So that's an easy way to build the following. And then your company page, you get 250 requests per month. So what we would do was go identify our target, send them like an invite link to it. As soon as they would like our page, we would go and send a voice note saying, "Hey, thank you for following the page. Like, we appreciate the support." And then like something maybe a little personal that we found on their page. Like little. Those are easy ways that you get immediate building up your network.
Yeah. Okay, that's dope. That's dope. And it's good too because it's actionable, right? I mean, you dropped a software that you're using, but even if you don't use the software, you can do that search. You can just be a little bit more intentional. It's a little bit more you got to put some elbow grease into it, but you can actually send out that message. I think that's really cool that you also send out the audio message. And there's even an option for a video, which anytime I don't get many videos, but when I do, it's like it's 50-50 on creepy and then also like enduring at the same time, right? It's like, oh, they shot me a video. What is this? Do I want to click it?
Yes,
I kind of do. I kind of want to click it. And you click it, and it's like, hey, Jamar, what's going on? And I'm like, okay, at first it's kind of creepy, and then it turns into, oh, this is kind of dope. So it's like, I feel like it's 50-50.
Yeah, you just gotta be a person. Like some of these people, it's like wild that people think that this is gonna work. This out, like it's like they just do the same. I'm like, man, just be a human. Like that's all you gotta
do. Just be a human in your marketing and sales. It works, people. Like, it works.
Like, me personally, like if someone sent me directly, like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I want to get on a call. This is the goal. Like I'm way more likely to answer that than to like kind of read through the lines of like, hey, you're trying to act like you're not trying to pitch me. Just say you're going to pitch me. That's like that.
Right.
That's what I would personally, as a founder, like. So that's the way I go about it when I'm talking to people. Here's the goal. You know,
just get to the chase, cut to the chase. But at the same time, too, I think building relationships is important. Because you know it at least lowers the barriers up, because even you can help that person and you pitch them like right away, like on a lot of times of these LinkedIn messages, you get pitched on the first time. It's like, hey, you want to schedule that 10 or 7-minute call with me? And I'm like, no, I don't.
I'm happy that you said that, because when I'm saying that, I'm going back to what I mentioned earlier, is I'm being upfront about what I want, which is in certain situations, usually just I'm trying to connect and understand, because I saw that there may be mutual synergies. I'm not actually, some people I'm trying to sell, and I'll say that. But like most people, I understand, like, I think that is my only skill set. And I have a podcast actually that I've been sitting on again, because I just don't want to put myself.
Got to get that podcast launched, bro.
Called Connecting the Dots. But like that's I think my only skill is like I can go into any company and I can identify what's wrong and connect the dots, or I can talk to a person and I can connect the dots of what's happening. Like I've had, along with the companies I mentioned with you, I also had a nonprofit that I was director of development on for a year, where we created an apprenticeship program in Philly. So half of the kids in the city weren't going to graduate. We created that program. So I guess there was that. And then in that 4-year span, from RevCardo starting till then, we also started a company. We win NFT, which did NFTs for T.O., Lawrence Taylor. We pitched everyone from Iverson's agents into Dax and Zeke, all these people, right? And then we also brought a real estate CRM to market, which investors gave us $1 million for, and we got like another partner fell out. But I'm saying all that to say every single one of those situations was 3 or 4 partners. I was the one who got every single one of those groupings together because of just talking and going, this makes sense. Let's bring this to here, and aligning the group. So like I think that's just really connecting the dots is my only skill of just like see how everything fits.
Yeah, it's a powerful skill, man. It's a powerful skill, and not everybody knows how to connect the dots. And so that's really dope when you can be able to see things kind of beyond what other people can see. And I think when we first were talking, you kind of said like your gift is like giving that unique perspective on on the world and having those diverse experiences,
Yeah.
but being able to see things a little bit different, maybe from a wider perspective or a wider lens, and which not everybody can look at. Like oftentimes in my talk, when I do my keynote, oftentimes tell people like to widen their perspective and stop looking at life through a paper towel roll. When they're just like, like, because a lot of people are looking at it through such a narrow focused lens, and they literally can't see beyond it.
Yeah.
And there is a gift in that, because you're able to see a little bit more of what the possibilities are. And a lot of people they'll appreciate that, because then you're able to say, oh man, you know what, you just talked about this, I just got thinking, actually what you need to do is this, or who I'm going to connect you with is this, or what, this is the avenue you should go, because you're looking at it from a wider perspective than like just lasered in.
Yeah. I think like in business life, like I've in the process of trademarking business love language. I don't know if have you ever heard of the book 5 Love Languages for Relationships?
Yeah.
Just like that concept. Like I think in business life, humans and understanding humans, like which draws into the broader perspective of everything, is like the most overlooked concept universally. Is like at the end of the day, think about anything you do. It is really just a person and a person doing something together, right? Like it's like you're not
Yeah.
selling someone. There's a person. They have emotions. Understand it. Put yourself in that. If you're a leader, you have to look out. Out the in the mirror, not out the window.
Yeah.
And it's. I think people just really, really like have a hard time doing that. I think I was lucky because I grew up in the city. Like I think I had a very strange, like both sided upbringing, where I was in the city. I was one of 2 white kids in my school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, but I didn't know anything. I didn't know even what color was at that point, right? But I got to see, like, I don't even equate anything to color. I just look at it as we grew up on welfare. We grew up like, but like we grew up struggling, right? And then I moved to Bucks County and in high school, and like and then I'm like, I never knew what a Jewish person was until I moved. Like I was like I was like, there was grass out back. Like we had a like a,
Yeah.
like what is happening? Like it was just like a whole life kind of flipping thing of like this, like these are possibilities. It brought in my perspective, and just like the way that I grew up. Like I said, I've had, unfortunately, a lot of my friends. Like I've had a lot of friends pass early. I've had a lot of, like I said, like there was violence all around us. Like our house was shot up and all these different things. I got to see a lot of things in my life. I feel like I just heard you say this too on your podcast. So you feel like you lived 5 or 6 lifetimes in your life already. And
it's kind of crazy, bro.
yeah, it's there's no chance I've only been here for 30 years. Like, so it's like, it's crazy. And I think like, I guess people don't, it's hard to have that perspective if you didn't live through everything. It's like entrepreneurship. Like you can tell someone, you can hand them a book, but like, unless you live it, you don't fully understand it. Yeah. So I think it's just a universal thing, man. Even like down to right now, election, all this stuff, people just like, we're all the same, man. Like, let's just, yeah. So
we're all just trying to figure out life. A lot of us are stumbling our way through it, most of us. Yeah. And trying to figure this thing out. And I always tell people that, and I get this from my dad, but he says that there's one race, and that's the human race, and that's it. Yeah. That's it. There's so much divide, and even if you look back in the history of how race was even created, it's all kind of people driven and egos and self agendas that kind of served it, and now it's grown, and it's just separated us all so much. And I say that too with, there's definitely different cultures and the way people live, and we should be able to coexist through all of that. But with all this divide that we have, it's absolutely crazy when we're all humans. Because I always say this to everybody. I'm like, look, this is how you know we're messed up right now with how much divide there is. If aliens came down today, right? Huge spaceship.
Like, you're good. You guys keep here.
and it was war. Oh, we gonna be the human race real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. All them differences. I mean, what is it? I know Palestine and Israel going at it right now. All them differences are all washed out the window because now these aliens came through. It's Independence Day, and we gonna be the human race. And that's why, because anytime there's a huge tragedy, that's when it bonds us all together. It's sad that that's the way that the world works, and then we kind of forget after a while and get back to being comfortable, and then we start whining, complaining, and all that other stuff. But that's how I know. And I'm not wishing that. I'm not wishing the aliens to come down. Hopefully they'll be friendly aliens. Hopefully be friendly people or friendly extraterrestrials.
I could go on for days about that combo. I won't go on. I got a nonprofit called Spiritual Data. So I mean, we can.
Yeah. Well, that's why I brought it. That's why I kind of brought it up too, because it's just like, I'm like, come on, man, come on. Like, yes, we're different. We're all unique in our own way. We're also the same. We have so many similarities. We're all the same people, and it would get changed real quick if the circumstances.
It's something that does, like, it blows my mind. I wake up every day and I look at that. I'm like, why we still like look at like someone looks at one of us visually and like of a different race and goes, I don't like that person because of the, like,
right.
If their mom went left at that party, that they went right, and they just they went hooked up with the other race. That's them. Like, I just said it to piss people off, but like, it's just like crazy, man. Like, we're the same. We're just people. Like, it's red, blue, like black, white. Like, it's like there's a clear divide there that's like driven agenda. So it's like, once people can get, that across their minds, I don't know how that happens, but I hope it does someday in my lifetime.
Someday, man. Someday. I think it's slowly. The funny part is, I think the more that there's divide between us all, I think there is that percentage of people that are seeing the bigger picture, and they're kind of, banding together. So hopefully, through this divide, also creates the rebellion where we we bond together, right? Through it. It's the the Star Wars reference, right? It's everybody's just going on with life, and they're like, all right, this side and this side, but there's that core rebellion that's building up.
Yeah, there's no like, why are we doing war? Like, we could just all just be chilling, like hanging out. Like, there's enough money. We just everyone gets this much money. Like, we probably can divide it up equally. Like, it doesn't be greed. Like, it's nuts. But I do think that the generations that are coming, like, I'm a millennial, so like I think we were that generation that bridged the gap between the old and the new, and like kind of had to be almost like we had to lead the way and get screwed over because we were like the last people on that path of like, do this, and you're gonna get you're gonna be go to college or do this or whatever, and then people start to shift, and now the like generations that come now, like, they just don't. I love it, but like the hate really comes, I think, is derived from the older generation. So hopefully it's getting phased out.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that. No, this is cool, man. I got one last question for you. Before we let you get out of here. For people that are trying to get their business to the next level, and when they're looking at their sales, their marketing, and also retention, Give me one thing that people can do in each one of those sectors that you've seen to be highly successful. So, and I understand this may be different per business industry, but when you talk about the back end of like what's working, so let's talk about something that gets awareness. Let's talk about something that converts, and let's talk about something that gets retention for the audience. So that way, maybe they at least can take this conversation. They can at least start looking into this. And guys, when Jason explains this, you also just ask this question for whatever industry, whatever service you're providing. Just ask this question to yourself, so that way you can start to dive into what your own unique situation is. But we want to have people like, how do we get awareness? What's the number one thing to get awareness? how do we get conversions? Like, is there a super closing line? Is there something that helps? I know we talked about packaging, we talked about all that stuff, but what can get the conversions? And then how do we retain our customers to have them keep rocking with us, keep buying from us, to turn into advocates?
Yeah. So all good questions. And so RevCardo, just like where that came from is revenue and cartographer. So it's a revenue map maker. And the concept of that was like what you're saying is we could work with the companies that have, they only have a bike, and this company over here might have a jet, right? So the maps that we're building based on their resources are vastly different, but we're going to build the map to get you there the fastest based on what your resources are. And that could be, budget, your people, tech that you have. But so what I would do in those situations, and this is really like, we just actually did this with a client prior to this. Are you familiar with OKR, the framework of like goal setting?
Yes, but yeah, go ahead and explain it though, please.
Yeah. So, I mean, it can be done a few different ways, but essentially in the simplest way, there's a goal and then there's 3 objectives that you need to do, or, you think that you should do to get to that goal. So when like the easiest way I think to do that is to reverse engineer everything. So like example being, we look over a quarter or something, however long you can do 2025. This is my revenue goal, right? Let's say like $1 million, right? So then you reverse engineer that, like, okay, well, what is that quarter? What is that each month? Break that down, right? Now that main goal will have 3 things that is essentially what do you need to do to get to that 1 million?
100%. Yeah.
So like an example of that can be something that's on the demand side, on the converting side, on the client side, or retaining. So what we'll normally do, and this is something we just did for the client, was it was, if we need X number of revenue, which is, then we know what our offerings are. So we know that we have to close X number of deals. And then we know that we close 60% of the deals that we talked to, right? So in theory, like we kind of reverse engineer them. So we were setting them up with the Octopus plugin thing that we were doing. So so that we need to send, 500 messages or connections a week, right? So that equates to, based on the numbers, in historical numbers, like what that will equal that revenue number based on the amount that's closed. So that's like the framework I think I would go about how you would really reverse engineer that. And then on the flip side, on the client side, is looking at like customer lifetime value is everything. So like I can sell you something one time, and we've tried everything, right? We've had deals that were, like our biggest client I think was like almost like 30 grand a month, and like but then we've had clients that were, $5 grand or 3,500 a month, but they were with us for 2 years. And like, so it's looking at how do you get, like, I always look at it from an investor standpoint. Like, so they want to see forecastable revenue. So I think if you look at your clients and you go to, retaining them, and how do you really just grow your business, is what is the current deal you have with them, all of your clients, when does it end? Like, what is the offering? And is there, what, as that comes up, that point of like the contract or whatever it is you're offering, obviously this is widely different across everything.
Yeah, of course.
How do you create upsells, cross sells, to essentially I don't want to say the word trap, but like that you want, because like there's, you're putting yourself there in a value sense that like they need you, right? And that's, so I think those are like the strategies from the high level. The actual individual, like, what could I do? Again, it varies so greatly, like based on who he is. But I just think it's really, who is your client? Once you know that, like, where are they? And it's really diving into that research, like where are they online, right? Like, for example, for us, we found a niche that was like, I'm telling you, we get, maybe over the past 6 months, our 90% of our deals came from this, is Slack groups, which was something new that we tried.
Slack groups.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Talk about that. What do you mean Slack groups?
So and if the owners of these are listening, then I did not do this, but
Jason did not do this. Okay.
but no, it like there's different groups that are like maybe and ranging from like 10,000 all the way up to 50,000 of our ideal clients, like across sales, marketing,
How do you
founders.
find these Slack groups? Is it you just did a Google search? Like, how did you find them?
A few of them I found just like on LinkedIn. A lot of times, what they'll do is they'll make people when they sign up for them, like in the beginning stages, add it as a profile, like company profile. So like
Yeah.
you type it in, it'll show you like everyone that's in there. I'll give you an example. One is called that I guess from the very beginning that was the biggest group is called Rev Genius.
Okay.
Um, it's just a great group to connect with people in general, but like it is broken down by I guess sector in there. So it'll be like marketing, sales,
Ah.
contractor roles needed, rev, anything, right? So and there's about 50,000 people. So I have like little tools across all of these different Slack groups that I use that can search and identify when someone says a specific word, and it'll ping me. And a lot of times people are in
What?
there raising their hand and saying, does anyone have a referral for an agency, or does anyone have like when I need a HubSpot set up? And then we just have a process that is automated. We go in there, it'll send them a message, go to LinkedIn, add them, and then put them in the HubSpot, send them the email that we sent in Slack. And it's just like a workflow across Zapier.
Yeah. Is that Zapier? So you're just using Zapier to connect that? Okay, this is super dope. So real quick, I want to just quickly break this down for everybody listening because we got a couple comments in here and people are listening. And so because you just dropped a lot of just different gems, right?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's hard when going. There's a lot of different tools I can add. However, is like most helpful. I can add links.
Yeah, the tools are great because I think everybody's trying to figure out what resources, what tools to actually use to get real results because there's so many options out there in the market. But first, I want to go back to when you were talking about the planning and the goals. This is so important. There's a video that we reshared on our Instagram page that he said everybody's talking about they want to be a millionaire. They want to reach $1 million in sales in their business. But then he's like, when's the last time that you took a group of like 5 of your closest people or the people that are all talking like they're going to make $1 million and sat in a room for 3 hours and just thought about and put idea after idea after idea of actually how to make the $1 million. Everybody's talking about it, but no one's planning it. No one's figuring out how when I break that down, what do I actually need to do? This is how real millionaires talk, guys. I'm just letting you guys know. How do we get there and break that down to figure out what actions do we need to get to the result? And that is just so important because you're talking about reverse engineering everything, which I think is so important. But when we talk about our sales goals and the awareness and what we need to do to achieve the goals, it's all data, it's all inputs of like, how much do we need to input to get our outputs? And we have to keep that going. And yeah, you're going to fumble in the beginning. You're going to mess up. Maybe you didn't do enough. Maybe you did too little. And you got to learn that. But once you learn what the science is a little bit about it for your business and for what you guys are doing, and you laser in on that, maybe even if you're getting some results, how could you laser in a little bit more, reverse engineer it, like Jason's saying again, and look into maybe there's some bloat in there. Maybe there's a couple steps you can skip. Maybe there's a way to automate the process, like Jason's talking about. Hey, he found this super unique niche thing with Slack groups that he's going on LinkedIn. He's finding these Slack groups, and now he's automated a process in the Slack groups that trigger if a word happens that says, hey, let me shoot this person a message and let me see if we can get a book call, because we know that there's an actual pain point and a need that is. And once again, it's timing. So what Jason's all about, I can just see it. He's all about timing. So if we can get to the time when the pain is at the highest, then there's a higher point that we can actually close the sale. So I'm kind of just regurgitating what you're saying, but just want to make sure that it's very clear for people to understand, no matter what level that your business is at, this is the stuff that you guys need to be diving into and working on the business, not always in the business.
Yeah.
But you got to be working on this stuff, because this is what gets you to the next level. So this is a reminder. If you're not at $1 million, if you're at 6 figures and maybe you're sitting comfortable at 400, 500, start reverse engineering. You need to start looking at this stuff. How do you automate? How do you, because it's only a couple, I tell people it's only a couple little knobs that normally you have to turn. And next thing you know, you go from 500 to a million, especially if you get that lifetime customer, the LTV, especially if you get that at a more exponential rate where it's actually growing and you actually can keep customers. That means you can stack, and it's like a pancake, man. And then you just start to really grow instead of always hunting and always chasing. So anyways, I just went,
Yeah.
I just wanted to let everybody know, because we got a lot of, there's some comments and stuff here. And so I just want to make sure that that's clear of what you're saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I always phrase it as like, there's a reason that McDonald's can be here in Philly, and it could be so you can make one in China right now, right? Because
Right.
the Big Mac is the exact same thing every single place, right? So it's like
Every single time.
Yeah, so it's like systemizing those things and don't get like all over. Like at the end of the day, it's just like look at what you're doing every day. Usually 80% of your day is filled with things that don't produce revenue. So it's like, let's just switch that up and do those little things. Like don't get too all over the place. You'll get the numbers as you go, and you'll start to see what works and double down on what works.
100%, man. This is gold. Thank you so much for hopping on this episode. I mean, I feel like we're now just, this is why I do the intro calls, and this is why we go into, because now a lot of people got a lot more information also on this podcast, and we could have kept going deeper and deeper into this, because I could see that there's a lot of tools and resources and things that we could all do. But I also don't want people to get bogged down with how many resources are out there. Like Jason said in the beginning, sometimes you just got to pick up the phone and just and just get it cracking. You know, like it's don't overcomplicate it. But I love the idea of how do you automate the process once you. So with that Slack strategy, did you first start to do it a little bit first and then figure out and then automate it later, or did you immediately automate once you found it out?
Yeah. So I have like in my other company a programmer that can do some things. So like that automation and other groups are a little, again, if someone's listening, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
But like what I always do, like go through the manual process, right? So like even in that concept, you can do that right now. You can go in a group and you can type in any keyword and it'll search the whole channel. And that's like if you're trying to connect with someone or doing whatever it is, right? But I go manual, and then I go, okay, let's just focus on what is the most annoying part of this process. How do I do it, right? And we, like, I guess I don't know if it's just by my mindset. Like we are bootstrapped the whole time. I've been to other companies where we've gotten investors coming in, things like that. But my mind, you can hand me $1 million, and I will always have a bootstrap mindset. So like that whole stack is, I mean, honestly, almost free. Like like that, you can have all of those tools. They're all like they're free Chrome plugins. One is called Linkport too that I use. That if you're on LinkedIn and someone makes sense, you one click of a button, it sends it to your CRM, and they just go into your automation. So like I'm more than happy to. I know there's a lot of people that I have an operations background, so like a lot of those things fall into my wheelhouse, and just by nature I'm an entrepreneur, so I have like the kind of mix of, I guess, those realms, but it's not common for a lot of people. Like there's so much shit out there that it's like, what do I use? So I'm more than happy to open myself up to any calls or anything like that. Put my calendar link or whatever it is, for anyone that opens, for anything.
No, that's cool. We'll definitely we'll definitely take you up on that. We'll definitely put in the show notes once this gets released. But no, this has been fantastic, man. Where can people find you? How can they get connected to you?
Yeah, so I'll social across everything. It's just jbramble23, and then RevCardo, it's just revcardo.com. But yeah, I mean, we got a lot of different stuff. So across RevCardo, our nonprofit, spiritual data, and the AI space. But all of it can be found on our social. So yeah, I'm there. Just shoot me a message. I'll answer. I love to connect. If someone has any questions, seriously, that's why I do this, or why I try to start doing this, I guess, to be, I guess, a resource for someone, because I didn't have one when I was going through this.
And it's so important, man. Thank you so much. This is you definitely were a resource for a lot of people. This episode is going to go crazy when it goes out, just because of the knowledge that you dropped. So don't be stingy with that knowledge, man. Please share it. Share it with people, because it's definitely gonna help a lot of people in their businesses, especially early on too, like when your people are going. But you did say a lot of things that even if people have a little bit more of established business, and they have a team, they have people going.
Yeah.
It's still good to look at this stuff, guys. Like, because also you can look at, okay, what is my sales team doing? What's my marketing team doing? You know, how are we retaining our customers? We're so hungry to go chase the next kill out there, the hunt the next kill, that we're not thinking about the customers that took so long to just get into our ecosystem. Think of it like Apple, guys. I mean, if you're an Apple product user, you are in the trap. You are in the ecosystem, and you can't get out. You can't get out.
70% of revenue from a company comes from your existing clients.
Yes.
Yeah,
So So how can you use your existing clients to grow your business instead of always be chasing when you can upsell, cross sell, everything that Jason said? It's just so important. And I love to use the Apple analogy just because, like, even if I wanted to switch to Windows, it would be quite an investment for me to even switch to Windows.
Yeah,
at
they
this point.
Yeah, it's almost just it's too tiring. I don't want to do this.
Too tiring. I mean, the apps, the all the products they got. I mean, it just the convenience of different things. Like it's they got me locked in, dude. So how do you build an ecosystem to be locked? You know, so keep your customers and keep serving them, keep helping them. Like Apple does. So thank you so much, Jason, for being on the podcast. Everybody listening and watching, please like, comment, subscribe to this episode. We're streaming on everywhere that you can get podcasts, and make sure you guys drop a comment. Let me know what you guys thought, what you guys liked in it, what your takeaways were, and we will catch you guys on the next episode. And don't forget, if you can change your circle, you can change your life. So thank you so much, Jason, for being on here. And until the next time, everybody, peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell for more amazing content that we're going to be putting out. And don't forget, you can change your circle to change your life.